What's usually the thing that a CEO or an athlete that you coach, what are they saying to themselves before they get to that kind of dire place, you know?
I'll start tomorrow. I'll get there. I just don't have time yet. I work 12 hours a day. I work 16 hours a day. I work 18 hours a day. When will I train? When will I do that? I was giving a training to one of the corporates. A guy asked me, so what's the budget for taking good care of myself in Egypt? I said the budget can go from 3K up to 20K. He's like, 20K a month? I'm like, yeah. When I work with my athletes, I always tell them every single part of your day, take it 1% at a time. So your meals, take it one decision at a time. Your training, that's one decision. Don't overwhelm yourself with too many decisions in your day, then it becomes too difficult. All you need to do is decide what your next meal is.
What do elite athletes, high-performing leaders, and resilient entrepreneurs all have in common? Today's guest has trained them all. On this episode of the Limitless CEO podcast, we're joined by a world-class performance specialist who spent over decades helping top performance move better, recover faster, and unlock their next level. We dive into the mindset behind peak performance, how to sustain results under pressure, and what it really takes to lead with clarity in high-stakes environments. Whether you're scaling a company or managing stress at the top, this episode will sharpen your edge. Hit the subscribe button and stay tuned. You'll want to hear every single minute of this one. Hussein, man, this has been well overdue. I'm so happy to have you here. How have things been?
Things have been great, man. Thanks for having me. After a couple of years of discussing making this happen, finally we're here.
We are absolutely here. So if someone has never met you before, what do you want them to understand about you and how you think through the world?
So what I would want them to understand about me is I'm here to help people live a healthier, better life. And it's my motto. I've lived by it since I was an athlete. I played football. Believe it or not, I was a fan, and I wanted to give people the happiness that I got as a fan when I played the sport. So when I decided that's not what I wanted to do anymore and transitioned into coaching, I really wanted to help those athletes live better quality lives. And it started physical only, like getting them to move better, perform better. And then I started understanding that a major part of that performance comes to the mental state. So how we work on their biomechanics, developing them for their sport, physically, mentally, and even spiritually. And then taking those athletes, understanding where they are to where they can get to. And then after a while, understanding that it's not just for athletes, it's for high performers as well. So going back to the question, what would I want people to know about me is I believe I exist in this life to help people live better lives, high-performing lives, and reach their potential.
What I do know is everyone's usually got an origin story that leads them to where they are today. So who were you before the football, before the business, before everything? Who were you?
So I was a football player since I was 8 years old. I played for a 4th division club, which is the last division in Egypt. From there, I was seen by one of the coaches for the national team when I was around 16, 17. I got promoted to the national team, and from there I was sold to Zamalek Club, one of the top clubs in Africa.
Yes.
And then from there I went to the US and then came back. That was the start of it.
So football, just like business, has the same metaphor. It's all about competition, right? Survival of the fittest. I do know that business, football, both have high competition. And competition usually teaches you a lot about pain, about perseverance, and about consistency. So what did it teach you?
So interestingly, when we work with athletes, there's a very big part of it. We identify athletes as novices, an athlete with no background at all, an amateur, and then a pro. Okay. So in every single stage of those athletes, we work with them to develop them to become professional athletes where they do not need us anymore as coaches. Okay, so that's the optimum level I want to take my athletes. So when it comes to athletics, every single sport. So when I speak, I'll broaden things and then I'll bring it back to perspective. Okay, so when we work with athletes, every single sport develops a very unique character. So footballers have a very unique character that they developed through the entire sport. From how much pressure they're under, they have to deal with pressure of the coaches, their teammates, their families, their work environment, the environment of the team, the fans, how big are the fans for the club. I worked for a club before as their performance coach. we almost didn't have any fans, right? And there almost was no pressure outside of the club. The management, the team members, the players, the head coach, and I worked for Al Ahly for 2 years. And the amount of stress and pressure you gotta go through is just incredible. I grew white hair there.
You went from Zamalek to Al Ahly. That's a contradiction.
That was
competition in itself.
It was, and it was a very interesting transition. And I've always been an Ahly fan since I was a kid, and I love the club, like literally.
So for anyone that's listening, am I right in saying those are the top 2 clubs?
Yeah,
in
Africa.
Egypt. Yeah, in Africa.
Yeah.
It's like saying, Tottenham and Chelsea, or
Exactly.
Arsenal and Chelsea, or Man United and Man City.
Yeah.
Go.
I was very lucky to enter both clubs, honestly. I'm a massive Ahly fan. Like when I played for Zamalek, I obviously supported the club. But before it, I was an Ahly fan. And when I worked for Ahly, I have pictures since I was a kid, like literally 8 and 10-year-old, going to the club after they won like the Champions League, African Champions League, the cup, the Super Cup, holding the cup with the players, taking a picture with them. So I've always been a fan. So since I was a kid, growing and being able to enter the club as the youngest performance coach ever to work for the club was incredible. The only Egyptian to ever work for the club at that level, with those qualities, with these responsibilities, it was massive
tell me about
for me.
the moment of transition between football player to coach. Was there a moment where you just knew, what got you to make that transition? What was that like?
A very good question. So every single transition I've gone through has been very difficult for me. Okay, going from an athlete to a coach was very difficult for me to let go of everything I knew I could do, right? Because it becomes a part of you, it becomes your identity. When it's so enmeshed in you and you're so enmeshed into it, it becomes, I believe that's all I could do. Growing up, it is literally what I believed I could do. I didn't believe I could do anything else. So it was so scary for me to transition from leaving my entire identity that I knew. All I knew was I was a football player. I didn't know myself as anything else. And it was so sad, right? Because as human beings, we have amazing capabilities, but I was never taught those tools growing up, neither by my family, neither by my school, my university. No one taught me those tools. And social media, internet wasn't as exposed as it is right now, right?
Yeah.
So we did not have that kind of access. So it's all I believed I could do. Letting that go, transitioning from that into becoming a coach, believing I could do something else was extremely difficult. And the difficult part was believing in myself and my capabilities that I could do something else. But I had reached a point where I just, like, I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So I used to pray istikhara, which is a way of, in Islam, a way of not knowing what's next and just asking God, just guide me.
Yeah.
So I did that for a very long time until I saw all the doors close with football. And it was very clear to me, it just like came to me one night, it's like, enough.
One direction, yeah.
It's like enough. So I just let go. I said, hey, God, I trust you. I'm letting go. Guide me. And whatever opportunity I got after that, I took until I landed on coaching. And the moment I landed on coaching, it was like that. It started happening. And then one thing led to another. And I started believing in my capabilities, myself more and more and more. And yeah, that was the most difficult thing, is just believing that I could do something else, not just coaching, not just
I actually
playing
love that story more than you might even think, because of how of an amazing analogy it is, or a metaphor, should I say, for business. People start a business and they think, oh, I'm only just, a baker, or I'm just a jeweler. And they're scared to learn all the other stuff, the marketing, the sales, the customer service and everything else. And they think that they can only do one thing, which is bake. And then a lot of people just stay there with a job. But then the ones, like the very few, the 2% that go, you know what, I'm going to start something, but don't, until eventually the pain of not starting it becomes so much that then they go, oh, okay, cool, I'm going to start it now. But then whatever took them from 0 to, let's say, 100,000, they get to 100,000 and then they get stuck in that space again, which is, oh man, the only thing I know to do here is to operate this business. What if I, step out and try and become an owner? What's going to happen? And then the pain has to become so great again for them to actually start to let go of some control. And then they let go of some control. And then now they think, okay, yeah, I've broken out of this hurdle once again. And then the same thing happens again until eventually, they're like forced to go in this direction. So I love that because that's literally what happened to you.
So it's interesting you're saying that. So that's with everything, right? Even our health, like working with executives, working with athletes, you see that a lot. You see an executive performing until they reach a point where they completely break down, or they get diabetes or high blood pressure, or they get some form of disease that they got to go see a doctor for. Even some eczema. It's just as simple as that, right? And we're starting to see now more severe diseases because of the kind of pressure our nervous system and our mental part is put on us. Like the world around us has put so much pressure on us, or we have put so much pressure on ourselves from the environment that we force ourselves into, or from the way we think. And then we wait until I'm sick, I'm ill, and then I go see a doctor. And then the doctor says, hey, listen, you got to do some blood tests, right? We got to see what's happening. And then next thing, oh, listen, you got to take that medication. And then next thing, you got to start training. You got to start taking care of your nutrition, right? So we wait until the disease happens, and then we start taking the medicine for it and finding the treatment for it. So what's growing right now is preventative medicine, right, in the world. And we're starting to see, or I'm starting to see a lot of people not waiting until they're sick anymore. And that's a very big part of life today. People are trying to reverse their biology as much as they can. They were trying to live longer for the past 5 years or 10 years. Now they're trying to live healthier rather than just longer, right?
There's value in what you're saying. I want to take you back.
Sure.
Because sometimes, because it's natural to you, there's a genius in what you're saying. So let's slow down, take it back a little bit. What's usually the thing that a CEO that you coach or an athlete that you coach is saying to themselves before it reaches that pinnacle where, holy shit, forgive my French, now it's not a nice to do, it's not preventative medicine, I need to. What are they saying to themselves before they get to that kind of dire place, for the lack of a better word?
A lot of it goes like this. It's not that bad yet.
It's not that bad yet.
I'll start tomorrow.
Time?
I'll get there.
Time? Do they have a time? Oh, they have time?
I have time. Yeah, it's okay. Or
so
I don't have
time. It's because I have time. Yeah. I'll just leave it. Okay, so it's the opposite to like.
And there's a lot of it that I just don't have time yet. Like I work 12 hours a day. I work 16 hours a day. I work 18 hours a day. When will I train? When will I do that? But sooner or later, it's gonna hit you, and you will have to do it. So I'll tell you a story. I was once in a workshop, okay, and a part of it was a requirement of like the person giving us the workshop was talking about the importance of well-being and all that. And then a guy raised his hand and said, I don't have time, right? Like I'm so busy, my time's so tight. He's like, okay, what happens if right now you get a heart attack and you fall to the ground and the ambulance takes you to the hospital and they do a surgery on you and they put those chips in your heart? He's like, yeah. He's like, and you come out of the surgery and the doctor says, hey, listen, you got to walk 1 hour a day or your heart's going to stop. What are you going to do then? He's like, I'm going to walk. He's like, exactly. He's like, I'm coming to you before that happens and telling you it is necessary to start taking good care of yourself. So I have this workshop I give for corporates. It's called It Starts From Within. And it's all about how our entire life starts from right within me. All right? Like my family, my career, my income, my well-being. If I'm not good, then nothing in my life will be good. Like I'm so focused on my family, taking care of them, managing everything for them, their spending and all that. But then what happens if I die today? Who's going to take care of them?
Literally.
What happens if I'm hospitalized today? Who's going to take care of them?
Literally, we keep saying we don't have time until eventually it's going to cost us double the amount of time, and we're going to have time, and we're not going to like it. Or I don't have the money, and then eventually it's going to cost you 10 times more money. And that's genuinely, like, I see that a lot as well. Let's kind of dig deep into what you just mentioned, what you do for corporate companies.
So before we do that,
Go for it.
I'll tell you one thing about I don't have time. So one thing I do with my athletes or my executives I work with is I ask them a very simple question. I ask them to open their phones, open their settings, and open their screen time.
And how much time do they scroll?
How much time do they spend on their phones a day?
A lot.
Right? And the average now we're seeing is 4 to 6 hours a day. That's a lot of time, man.
And they don't have an hour to... Like, you can literally sit on your phone while you walk, technically.
You could. The other thing is the wellness industry has made us think that I need to work out for an hour or two a day for it to be good. And I'm a firm believer in 1% growth. And it's just a matter of building those habits, Hussein. It's a matter of just getting myself out there. I worked with a guy once, and he had a coach that did something really cool with him. He asked him to show up to the gym every single day. And as soon as he stepped in, he's like, "You can leave now."
And
the guy's like, "I'm here already." He's like, "Okay, go on the treadmill for 10 minutes." He goes on the treadmill for 10 minutes. He's like, "You can go." He's like, "Well, I want to train." No, you can go. It's fine. We're done for today. And he's like, all he did was he got me in there every single day of the week. I didn't take any days off. I'm like, how come? He's like, because I wasn't actually doing anything. But then it became such a habit for him that he didn't stop going. That he woke up in the morning, and when his coach wasn't there, he didn't know what to do with his day. So he just went to the gym.
100%.
Right? And then 3 months into it, the guy started pushing him further.
I want to make this as actionable and realistic and easy for anyone listening to this, because the people that listen to this are like in the caliber of busy. So they are busy, right?
Yeah.
So what would you tell a person who's listening to this that genuinely is busy? Like, you have a CEO who's working from like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or you have a business owner that's probably working from like 8 a.m. till midnight.
Yeah.
So let's make this really easy, really realistic. You know, what does this person need to hear right now that's going to revolutionize the way they show up, not only to their health, but to their business through their health?
So simple is better, right? Meaning I don't need to complicate things so much for my health to get better. It's simple decisions throughout my day. Like when I work with my athletes, I always tell them every single part of your day, take it 1% at a time. So your meals, take it one decision at a time. Your training, that's one decision. Don't overwhelm yourself with too many decisions in your day, then it becomes too difficult. So all you need to do is decide what your next meal is in the morning. What's my meal? Have that meal, done with it, start thinking of your next meal, okay? The same thing is with training. Training does not have to be so complicated. You just need to start, right? You just need to make it a habit. So I could start as literally as 10 squats in the morning. As soon as I get out of bed, just sit and get up 10 times, 20 times. Try to keep it in a bracket of 5 minutes, not more than that, if you're not training at all, right? And try to make it these small wins throughout the day until it becomes just part of your DNA, and then you can start pushing forward. Another easy way to do it is I always tell people in like I work with that, and the corporates I work with that. So when we get sick, we go see a doctor, right? Why?
Because it's an absolute necessity now.
Why? Can't you treat yourself? You can go on ChatGPT and treat yourself now, right?
No, yeah.
You can, really right?
I did this not too long ago.
but you end up going to a doctor when it becomes too severe, right? Because they specialize in that. But when it comes to your wellness, your health, I'll just go to the gym and hop on a treadmill for 10 minutes and I'll just push some weights. I'll pull some weights. I can do it on my own. That's a science in itself. People don't understand that it's a science as much as like medicine is a science. You can reverse like diabetes now through nutrition and training.
Yeah.
I don't need to be medicated to reverse diabetes, right? I can fix an entire hip problem as a coach. I don't need to go get surgery. You can reverse that damage to some extent. So when it comes to training, I always tell the people like that I work with and the corporates that find a good trainer and get them to help you at the weight room. Find a good nutritionist. Pay them to help you with your nutrition. Because you can do your nutrition, right? Anyone can. You can go on ChatGPT and figure out what medicine I need to take.
They can, but they try. So which means what I mean by try is they do it for a little bit of time, and then it's what they did is not sustainable, and then they quit, and then they start again in a month's time. That's why I actually love what you're saying, and I think there's a genius in what you're saying, because honestly, how you do one thing in this category of life is the same thing you do everywhere. People treat their businesses the same way they treat their health. They want to come in, they want to have this like rapid, revolutionary thing overnight. They want to like throw this crazy marketing budget. Oh my God, we have to put so much effort into sales. And there's like this massive sprint, and then boosh.
Exactly.
And the same thing I've seen and heard with my own eyes and ears. People do the same thing with their health. They're like, that's it, going home today, gonna throw away everything. I'm gonna, buy yourself a Peloton, buy this $2,000 bike, and boom, within 2 weeks' time, everything's gathering dust.
So I worked with I worked with a football player, and he had an injury. He had a tear in his hamstring. We worked together, and then 10 to 15 days later, he was fine to go back to sport. And then he went to training, and then a week later, 10 days later, he got injured again. And that has never happened with me. So I called him in. I said, listen, what's happening? He's like, I got injured. I'm like, okay, so let's discuss like your habits. He's like, okay. Like, how are you sleeping? Really great. I'm like, okay. What time do you go to bed? 4 a.m. And that was his great, right? So everything else was okay, wasn't great, but was okay. His nutrition was okay. There was room for improvement. His work lifestyle was okay. So we started working on his sleep. I wanted him to sleep at 11 p.m. Going from 4 a.m. to 11 p.m., if I told him that the first day, what do you think he would have done?
Went to bed at 4 a.m.
Nothing would have changed, right?
Yeah.
So I said, listen, let's work on that. He said, okay. I'm like, is it realistic if I asked you to sleep at 3:30 instead of 4? He's like, yeah, but is that going to make a difference? I'm like, yeah, it's going to make a difference. So we did that for the first 4 days. And after 4 days, I said, hey, listen, can we make it 3 instead of 3:30? He's like, yeah, that's fine. Shifts. Yeah. We started doing that, and in a span of 3 to 4 weeks, we were able to get him from 4 a.m. to 11:30 p.m., 12 a.m. He's like, listen, like, I need to spend time with my kids. Like, my kids sleep that late, and that's the only time I get to spend with them. I said, I'm fine up until 12, not beyond 12. He said 12 is fine, but that was 4 weeks later, right?
I love that you mentioned the kids thing, because technically this is what most people's excuse is. I don't have time because I spend time with the wife, with the kids, networking, whatever it is. So what's the tangible, actionable, and realistic solution for people that do have such responsibilities?
So
what's the thinking pattern?
So we've worked on this before, right?
Yeah.
So it is all about priorities in my life. What are my main key priorities, right? The first thing I work with executives I work with is we identify what their priorities in life are. Because sometimes life tricks us and trips us into thinking some priorities are very important to us, but then we drop the real priorities in our lives, or we get deviated out of our main priorities. For example, I was giving a training to one of the corporates, and a guy asked me, so what's the budget for taking good care of myself? I said the budget in Egypt, I said the budget can go from 3K up to 20K. He's like, 20K a month? I'm like, yeah, that's like $300-400. He's like, that's too much. I'm like, for what?
But it would cost more if you needed to go to the hospital.
He's like, what do you mean for what? I'm like, I'll tell you a very funny story. I was like, a friend of mine called me up. He's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm at this place. He's like, I'll pick you up to go for coffee. I'm like, okay. He picks me up in a new E-Class, Mercedes E-Class. Picks me up. He's like, what do you think of my car? I'm like, it's beautiful. He's like, I just got it. He's like, we started discussing, and then the next thing... He
doesn't have 20K for his engine.
The next thing is he starts telling me about how much he got it for, how much he's paying for it, right? And then We go grab coffee, we sit down. He's like, listen, I'm starting to take good care of myself. I'm setting my priorities straight. I just got this car. I've done this. I've done good for myself. I want to do something good for myself. I'm like, okay. And he asks me, I need to start investing in my health. If I want to do 1, 2, 3, how much is it going to cost me? I said, it's going to cost you 20K a month, around that figure, right?
Yeah.
Like a personal trainer, a meal plan, supplement plan, and all that, like a meal delivery service, all that. And he's like, but that's too much, man. Like, why do I need to spend that much? I'm like, how much are you paying for every month for your car? He's like, 20K, right? And that's setting your priorities. Is the car more important than my health? Or is my health important that will help me perform even better than...
When you was telling the story, I came up with an analogy. It's like you're paying 20K for a German engine.
Yeah.
But you're not paying 20K for this engine.
Exactly.
And actually, you will buy 20 of the German engines.
When you're performing well.
And people don't think that way.
Sorry, going back to your question, it's setting my priorities straight. I need to understand what's a priority for me. And that's when I start to invest time and effort into that area. So, for example, an executive has their work, their life, right? Their families, their kids, their own well-being, right? And then part of their work is doing like connections, going out for lunches, going out for dinner, connecting with people, traveling for events and all that. Yet I will always be put in a situation, always, or most of the time, where I need to make a decision. Like, do I need to work up until 11 p.m. or do I want to go see my kids tonight? And it's a matter of, once I know my priorities, I set them straight and distribute my time over all my priorities. So I will give myself that 30 minutes in the morning to go for a run. I will give myself that 30 minutes to hop into the gym, train. It doesn't have to be a wild training session, but I'll train. I need to do something for myself. And then after every single one of those, I recognize it with myself. And I recognize that this is my priority. I'm investing time in it. So one thing I do for myself is I have an Excel sheet with my top 10 priorities. Okay. And in those priorities, I have my 3 new habits. Like, I'm integrating 3 new habits into my system. I put my 3 new habits. And for every single day, I invest 1% into those habits.
It's the power of 1.
Exactly.
While you're talking, I also remember the concept called erase and replace. A lot of the time, we're like, oh, I need to spend time with my kids and it has to be at midnight. But there is usually something during the day that you can erase and replace whatever you're doing before that time to do the productive thing, the thing that's going to move your needle forward in your business, so that you have 30 minutes at the end of the day to spend more time with your kids. So a lot of the things we want to think about is, what are you doing during your day that you need to erase, and then replace whatever you're thinking you need to do later, do it earlier, so that you can create a priority and, go to your responsibilities at the end of the day.
And the other thing, Hussein, is we have a very specific way of seeing things for them to be enjoyable. Meaning, my training session has to be 60 minutes for it to be effective. It doesn't
to be worth it.
It doesn't have to be.
So we think about things in a way where, it's got to be worth it, and it's only worth it if I do 60 minutes. So what's your advice?
We're so attached to very specific expectations of things. Perfection. It could be called that, could be called other things. My way of doing it is just enjoy the moment. It doesn't have to be like, I'll call my mom and spend 5 minutes with her on the phone. That's my 1% for today for my family. It doesn't have to be, I travel back home, 100%. Spend an entire 2-week vacation with her. I love my mom. I'll hop on FaceTime with her, talk to her for an hour. That's my 1% of the day with my mom. I'll spend a phone call with my mom. I'll spend a phone call with my wife. I'll spend a phone call with my sisters. That's my 1% for my family. That is understanding that my priorities, my kids are I don't have kids, but if my kids were my priorities, I'll go back home, and even if it's a 5-minute conversation with them.
Quality over quantity.
Exactly. Even if it's a matter of passing by Hussein, picking you up, going for a coffee. Even if I haven't seen you in 3, 4, 6 months. But when I spend time with you, I'll be very present, because that's my priority for today.
So being intentional.
Exactly.
Rather than just passive. I like that. And there's something that came to my mind about business owners and entrepreneurs hitting lows.
Yeah.
You mentioned that, you went through this phase, you went from being a footballer to then becoming a coach, then you started a business, and then now you've transitioned into this corporate training. How do you handle transitional lows?
It's a great question. Okay. So how I handle transitional lows is the first thing I do is when I'm leaving something I'm doing, I need to be clear why I'm leaving it. It's setting my priorities, right? So one thing I found very important is having a North Star, right? The North Star could be anything. Could be my health.
A goal.
Yeah, could be my health, could be a new career, could be a new direction. And I'm a person who always reflects, like, you know that. Like, I'll reflect instantly on a conversation we'll have. Like, I won't wait, I won't keep pushing it. No, I'll put the time, even if I'm in a busy place, I'll walk into the bathroom, sit myself on the toilet seat, cover it up, sit down and think, right? I need to reflect because I need to make a decision right now. And that's one of the toughest things in the world today is making a decision. So one thing I found very helpful in transitional phases is knowing why I'm taking the next step, right? And then having the belief that whatever comes next is what's good for me. And letting go of the attachment of the outcome has to be in a very specific way for it to be good for me. Or it has to be in a very specific way for it to be the perfect way I'm seeing it being, right? Because we always have expectations, but then letting go, believing in the process. Every single one of us has their own journey, right? And in those transitions, what I've learned is every single phase in our life, if we're intentional to some good extent, is a development phase for what's next. And it's a matter of believing that this is helping me become a better version of myself for what's next. Even if I don't know what's next, but getting in the work every single day. Putting in the work every single day, and things will happen. As long as you really are putting in the work. And it's not a matter of just getting on my laptop doing like anything. No, I gotta be intentional to some extent, right? And then with that intention, things start to open up, opportunities start to open up. Sometimes the opportunities are not what you want. It's not what you had in mind. It's not what you envisioned it would look like. My advice is take whatever good opportunity or opportunity you got that's coming your way. Because sometimes, if not most of the time, that's what's next for you.
The thing is, I want to double down on something you mentioned earlier. You said it's happening for you, not to you.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody has, to some extent, that belief, but then, bam, Mike Tyson said everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you got once punched in the face. How did you deal with that? Because I'm sure that belief was tested. How did you overcome the test when that belief was tested?
So we actually get punched in the face every single day, right? But
yeah, it's true.
Punch over punch is different. Like you can get like a nudge, you could get a massive knockout. So with every nudge, if we're intentional with every nudge, every like tap, I'm like, okay, I got a tap, that's making me stronger. And then I get the next tap, okay, that's making me stronger. You start building the belief that I'm actually getting stronger every day, right?
So you almost have the iron analogy, you got to hit the iron. The more you hit the iron, the stronger it gets.
Definitely.
So iron sharpens iron.
Definitely, it does. And the other thing is, like, you got to be ready for the knockout. Yeah, you got to be ready for the knockout. And that's where you put in those 1% every single day. Like, I'm a firm believer that it is.
Sustenance. Yeah, from God.
Yeah, it's from God. Like, God gives us that. But he gives it to us when we put in the work.
Thing is, your intention has to be willing to break to the extent that you're willing to build. Even in tech and in muscles, you gotta like exercise to failure. In tech, when you're trying to launch a new app, you gotta literally try and break it to see the power of that app.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Last couple of questions. What does winning mean to you now?
So winning means to me now is being able to reach more people, help more people, and make a bigger impact in the world.
What's one thing you hope the next generation of performance leaders never forget?
I really hope they never forget that they're treating and they're training and they're working with human beings. So there's a lot of emotions that go into training, developing human beings.
Last question. What is limitless? What does being limitless mean to you?
Being limitless is getting those knockouts and getting back up with intention, knowing and believing that tomorrow, whatever brings my way, is definitely what's better for me.
Thank you so much, man. This has been so powerful. If people want to follow you or what you're doing next, where should they go to find you?
So I'm on Instagram. I can share with you my handle.
I'll put it in the
you can put it there. That's mostly where I am. I'll share with you my email as well if they want to reach me on it. I'm also available there. And yeah, man, my mission is to help as much people as I can, possibly. Like I just told you, I was with the NBA in Africa, with Seed Academy there. They're doing amazing things in Africa. We're trying to bring them to other parts of the world as well. We're working on that right now. And it's just what I'm here for. Like I'm here to change people's lives, whether you're just like a novice athlete just coming to the world with just new to athletics, or you're a high performing athlete, Olympian, or an executive with like handling billions of dollars. I'm always here to help.
What's something, I want you to kind of like listen to one objection that someone's telling themselves, not necessarily you or me, that you want them to hear. Because although I mentioned, people say I don't have the time or the effort, the energy. What is a symptom that right now someone's experiencing that they don't know is pretty serious and they should take it serious and contact you to get it at least checked out?
So one thing is definitely happening to every single person in the world today due to the chairs we sit on, the cars we drive, our lifestyles, is what's happening to our posture, which affects everything else in our energy throughout our entire system and how we think throughout our days and the questions we ask ourselves, right? So they could reach out to me. I would love to help with that. Help with their posture, help with the mechanics.
What's the symptom that they're feeling that should make them be alarmed? Like, are they fatigued? Are they tired? Do they have brain fog? What's going on for them?
Four things.
It's related to their posture.
4 things.
Go for it.
Lack of energy.
So they don't have energy.
Lack of energy. Lack of good sleep.
Lack of good sleep.
Okay. Loss of libido.
Loss of libido.
Yeah. And brain fogginess.
Beautiful. So if you have these things, it's related to your posture.
Related to our entire energy system, how we're performing in our days and all that. If you have one of those 4 things and you need help, I can definitely help.
So I'm almost saying this myself, but listen, Red Bull's not going to solve it.
It will for
short term.
Yeah, short
term. But
term.
overall, it's going to cost you more time and energy if you don't get it checked out now.
Yeah.
Amazing. Listen, it's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to speak to you again. For anyone that's listening at home, click the subscribe button, and we'll be with you next time. Stay limitless. Take care.